Morning.
Good morning.
You guys have any idea what I want to talk about?
JEA.
Let's talk JEA. So
No, I don't mean you. I'm sorry.
there's a couple of important questions that have been asked and still have to be answered, and that is, what's the strategic future of the JEA? How will our public utility compete in an incredibly aggressive and changing market? The other one is, what is the value, both from a monetary and practical standpoint, that's been created over the last 50 years by our ratepayers and our taxpayers? And so those questions still need to be answered. That said, the ITN process, the public's view of that has been eroded due to missteps over the last few months. I've spoken to the board chair, I've spoken to Melissa Dykes, I spoke to the incoming council president, Tommy Hazuri, these council members and others, and I've asked the board chair to call a meeting to pull and put an end to the ITN process. Put an end to this option, which was one option of many, which was a recapitalization. I've also asked the board chair, and will reiterate, pull the process and make all information surrounding this and a part of this public as soon as possible. I think it's important, again, that those two questions be answered, but I hear that the public's view of this has been eroded, and it's time to stop. I hope everyone goes home and has a happy holiday, and that we come back and get JEA back to doing the business that it's done for its ratepayers all along.
When you were seeking re-election, Mayor, you had said that you were going to take selling JEA off the table. The board members said that they were going to do that as well. So why would we think this time would be any different?
So what I said, I wouldn't be introducing any legislation to recapitalize. What happened in this process was the board was looking at multiple strategic options, one of which was the ITN process, which was the value, one option of 5 for a way forward. They took that initiative. I said I supported the process. I never said I supported a privatization or recapitalization. I said it's part of the options that ought to be discussed. What I am saying conclusively right now is that this needs to be pulled, it needs to be stopped, and JEA needs to get back to doing their business.
What was the tipping point, Mayor? What caused the change of heart?
Look, I know council members are hearing from their constituents. You know, I talk to our members of council on any given day. Some members of the business community would call and say, some say they supported looking at this, but that, again, missteps led to an erosion of the public's view of the process. We've got too many big things we have to do in this city. You know, I want to invest big dollars in neighborhoods. I've had some pretty big infrastructure budgets over the last few years. I want to go much bigger in the years ahead. We can't be singularly focused as a city on one issue, and this has become a one-issue conversation in this town. I still think those questions need to be answered, but JEA needs to get back to doing their business and this needs to come off the table. This needs to be done.
Mayor, you've criticized the media for criticizing the ITN process, but you're admitting that there are missteps. So do you take back kind of your criticism for the media for investigating it?
Look, I don't have any criticism of the media looking into any process that government undertakes. I would say that it's okay to have a public policy discussion and a public policy disagreement. But look, some of the missteps have been reported on, and I applaud that. And we are where we are right now, and I'm acknowledging that the public's view of this has been eroded, and it just needs to stop.
You called them missteps, but we know there now might be a possible investigation into all of this. Do you think that there might have been any activity that was illegal going on?
So the ITN process, look, the ethics officer is in the middle of this, the inspector general is in the middle of this. It's okay. I've talked to council members this. You can go through an ITN process. The question is the performance unit plan. I think that that needs to be looked more closely at. Clearly that raised a whole lot of flags. All of us, when we saw that, it appeared outrageous. But the ITN process in and of itself, we can do that. Our city charter allows the JEA to do that. However, the way that the process unfolded, there were missteps, and the public's view is just eroded. And so I see that, I feel that, I hear that, and it's time to stop it. And it's also important, again, that all of the information related to this be made public as soon as possible.
What about the team that was working on all of this? Obviously, some are now no longer working with JEA and working on this project, but some are. Are you concerned now that even moving past the sale, there are concerns about the people who have their hands in it?
No, the ITN process, I have no concerns about the process itself. I mean, in that you can do this. And they included in the process, in the room, as all this is happening, is the Inspector General, the ethics officer, all the attorneys, etc. But as some of the things we've seen, the performance unit plan, I mean, things have happened that have eroded the public's view of this, so we just need to end it.
Have you had, you've mentioned that you have full faith in Aaron Zahn when you brought him on board with JEA to begin with. Would you say you still have faith in him?
You know, I would say that the performance unit plan, we need a better understanding of how it unfolded. We don't have all the answers there. I don't like what I saw. I also read the news story over the weekend about previous employment. I would say that it would have been nice if that person or anyone else that had that kind of information would have come forward over a year ago, because all his former employer said was we mutually agreed to separate. So I don't like anything that I've seen. I want a better understanding of all of the past and the history, but I support the board made the right decision in moving on.
But do you think you should have dug a little more into it? I believe there were some news articles from his previous employment areas that were on the internet, if you found them, that showed his
the company that he was with officially said on numerous occasions, including the board members that I've talked to, that they mutually agreed to go their separate ways. Now, after the fact, you have an investor saying some very specific things. That should have been shared with board members and myself and others over a year ago. What's important about today, though, is that, again, we put an end to this ITN process and JEA and our city move forward.
What's the next steps, though? Are we going to pick this conversation back up? What does this mean to the people at home?
I think the two questions need to be answered, and the strategic future of how our public utility operates in an aggressive changing market needs to be evaluated. But I'm done with this, and I believe this council is done with this as well.
So a sale isn't off the table altogether?
It's off the table.
So JEA is not for sale. Even the other options, they're all off the table?
The other options, so you've got to look at, can you change the charter? Can you change the state constitution? I think other options need to be evaluated, but the ITN process, the invitation to negotiate, to sell the JEA is off the table.
But doesn't that mean that there could still be a request for proposals, another way to get to a sale? I'm not pursuing a request for proposal, and I don't think this body will either. Today, it ends today. The sale ends today?
It ends today.
Okay, and just
well, the board has to take action. I mean, we can't unilaterally make that decision, but I've spoken to the board chair, and I expect that the board chair will call a meeting of the board members to officially put an end to this.
Would you support a grand jury investigation into JEA's actions throughout this whole process? I mean,
the ITN, I don't know what that means, because everything, they were allowed to pursue an invitation to negotiate. I think we all agree with that. I think it's important that all of the information surrounding that be made public. In terms of organizations or agencies looking at, or the city council looking at the performance unit plan, I think this body is considering looking deeper into that. I would be supportive of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Don't you all want to know what the council's going to do after this?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I thought. As a vice president. First of all, I want to thank the mayor for taking this off the table. It ended before it began, quite frankly. They should have been doing what they are going to do, I hope, in the future, and that is going back to charter changes, see what kind of process they can go through to see what we as a council can vote for to change the council, then go to the legislature, do what's necessary. We're going to begin, but not with this ITN. It is over. The council president has asked the board and the board chairman, the JEA board and chairman, to stop it. Many councilmen, including myself, have asked them to stop it. We have a resolution coming up at the first council meeting asking them to stop it. But today, I think with the mayor who appoints the board, says that we're going to ask him, he's asking them to stop it. And as far as Aaron Zahn, arrogant Aaron, who I call him, I think that the board did a disservice by not doing their due diligence. Same way with the JEA. From now on, though, but make no mistake about it, the council's not, it's not over with the council. We're going to continue to dig. Melissa Nelson has a right. She doesn't need an invitation to look at these issues if there are issues out there for a report or indictments or what have you. And I think also, too, that our workshop will continue. We're going to continue to investigate. It's not going to stop with this performance pay because they did away with it. We want to know how they got there. We know how the JEA got there with everything they were doing this past year. They've embarrassed them. Can't speak for them. It's over. The people have spoken. Lights are out. Turn off the lights. The party's over as far as that's concerned. We have too much to do in the next 3.5 years to deal with downtown, to deal with stormwater, to deal with everything else that we want to see happen good for Jacksonville. The JEA, the people have spoken, and they spoke loud and clearly from the very beginning. And I think that the JEA didn't listen, but they certainly have learned. And the council is going to make sure that that doesn't get back on the table. Now, any recommendations they may make for improvement, for going out and getting new resources, we're all for it. But don't threaten us with the sky is falling. Let us investigate to see if the sky is falling. Let me tell you who deserves the biggest credit right now is our council auditor, Kyle Billy. He deserves an award. He's the one, and he's our eyes and ears. He's the one responsible for finding out about this performance pay, how much it's costing, how much it will cost, and the council rallied around him, and I think the mayor saw the same thing. And I'm proud of what he's doing today. Should have done it before.
Are you at all concerned? We saw that this letter back and forth between the Office of General Counsel and
I'm
JEA's
concerned.
attorney. Are you worried about who knew what when?
Let me tell you, yeah, that bothers me too. Now we've got the General Counsel's office, he said, she said, issues coming up. You've got that for us to look at. We're not stopping. We're digging. We're going to see what lies beneath, and we'll get a handle on that. But while we're doing that, we're not dealing with any sale of the JEA. It is over. It's a great Christmas present for the citizens of Jacksonville. It's long past due, and again, I'm proud of the mayor to take a stand today. I wish that we had done it earlier, but I think he sees where the council is, where the people are, and like I said, the light's brighter today, and your electricity will continue on, and it'll be the good old JEA.
Thank you so much, Councilman.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Good to see. Merry
Appreciate
Christmas
Merry
to all y'all.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you.